He's a fascinating character then because he's relentless and fearless. To encounter him as an enemy is pretty scary because of that lack of fear.
BBC's Peaky Blinders is a show that's celebrated for its style, grit, and unforgettable characters. But at the heart of it all, one figure stands out: Thomas Shelby, brought to life by Cillian Murphy. In today's video, we're diving into what makes Murphy's performance not only captivating, but essential to the series' success.
And the BAFTA goes to Peaky Blinders!
We'll look at how he uses silence, subtlety, and powerful nonverbal cues to create a character unlike any other. Let's unpack how Cillian Murphy perfected Thomas Shelby. One of the defining aspects of Cillian Murphy's performance as Thomas Shelby is his strategic use of silence. Unlike many characters who assert authority through dialogue, Thomas Shelby's strength lies in how much he communicates by saying so little. In fact, if you were to read the script without seeing Murphy's performance, you might think Shelby is a relatively quiet, almost secondary figure. But visually, on screen, Shelby is a force of nature. Murphy brings Shelby's power to life not through lengthy speeches, but through restrained expressions, glances, and a commanding stillness that keeps other characters on edge. His presence is almost magnetic, and his lack of words only intensifies the impact of what he does say. It's a unique technique because, in most shows, the protagonist is constantly vocal, shaping the story through their dialogue. But Thomas Shelby speaks when it's essential, making every line land with weight and finality. Consider the scene from the first episode where Freddie confronts Thomas in a bar. Freddie is angry, expressive, and full of energy, speaking passionately, almost as though he's trying to provoke a reaction from Thomas. But here's where Murphy's performance shines. Thomas doesn't engage with Freddie's energy. He barely looks at him, remains calm, and lets Freddie's words bounce off him. This isn't because Thomas doesn't care, it's because he knows his silence speaks volumes. Freddie's words become less powerful because Thomas refuses to acknowledge them fully, creating a dynamic where silence speaks louder than words. By the end of this interaction, it's clear who holds the power. Freddie may be the one speaking, but it's Thomas who controls the scene. His silence, coupled with a simple glance or a slight tilt of his head, asserts dominance without a single word. Beyond his power in silence, Murphy's Thomas Shelby serves as the emotional and visual anchor of the series. Every decision, every confrontation, every calculated risk is reflected through his expressions. Peaky Blinders is a show driven by visual storytelling, and Murphy's restrained but intense performance is at the center. Murphy embodies Shelby's internal struggles without needing to spell them out, making the audience feel every bit of weight behind his decisions. What makes this so effective is that Murphy allows the viewers to process information in sync with Thomas. We're not ahead of him. We're right there with him, reading each flicker in his eyes, every slight tightening of his jaw. He's aware of every shifting alliance, every glance, every potential threat, and we feel the tension right alongside him. His reactions, or lack thereof, shape how we, as the audience, feel about each moment. For instance, when Shelby's in a tense negotiation or a dangerous standoff, Murphy doesn't overplay the scene. Instead, he embodies restraint, keeping his emotions contained, almost as if he's daring the other person to make the first move. The calmness makes him unpredictable, and that unpredictability is what keeps us captivated. Murphy's portrayal of Thomas Shelby is a masterclass in body language. His posture, his gaze, and even his breath work together to convey emotions that dialogue could never fully capture. This approach to physicality allows Murphy to keep Shelby's character enigmatic. There's always more going on beneath the surface than he reveals. In one iconic scene, Shelby sits silently, his eyes scanning the room, his body language perfectly calm. But in that stillness, there's a sense of intense focus, as though he's gathering every piece of information. He doesn't have to speak to reveal his intelligence and awareness. It's evident in the way he occupies space. Murphy makes it clear that Shelby doesn't act impulsively. Every movement, every decision is calculated, considered. When Shelby finally speaks, it's often brief, and the scarcity of his words makes each line resonate. Other characters have to work for his attention, while he remains the focal point without lifting a finger. It's an ingenious use of body language, where Murphy's inaction says more than words ever could. Perhaps the most powerful element of Murphy's portrayal is his use of eye contact. With minimal movement, his eyes reveal the full spectrum of Thomas Shelby's mind, his calculations, suspicions, his intense focus on what's at stake. Murphy uses eye contact, or the lack of it, to express Shelby's strategic thinking and to show when he's making connections or dissecting someone's motives. In scenes of negotiation, his eyes can seem cold and unyielding, a sharp contrast to the emotional turbulence happening around him. It's this sharpness that pulls the audience into Shelby's perspective, letting us in on his thoughts without him uttering a word. Murphy's eyes alone tell the story of a man who is perpetually in a state of readiness, constantly assessing threats and opportunities. But Shelby isn't only a stoic figure. There are glimpses of vulnerability, moments where Murphy allows the audience to see the weariness behind the power. These moments are few and far between, but they're significant. They show that Shelby is not invincible. He's deeply affected by the violence and betrayal around him. Murphy brings this complexity to life, showing us a character who, while powerful, is also haunted and shaped by his past. These layers make Thomas Shelby compelling, and it's Murphy's dedication to the character's subtle emotional depth that allows us to sympathize with a man who operates in a world of moral ambiguity. Cillian Murphy's portrayal of Thomas Shelby is more than just a role. It's an intricate, restrained, and captivating performance that redefines what it means to be a leading character in television. His silence, his control, and his ability to convey depth without words make him unforgettable. Murphy doesn't just play Thomas Shelby, he is Thomas Shelby, and it's hard to imagine Peaky Blinders without him. Thanks for watching.